You're listening to A Hopeful Guide to Grief, with me, Louise Davenport. Grief is one big, unknown and unique thing. My mum died when I was 16, and I've been exploring my way through grief ever since. It's not easy to talk about death, so I've created this guide to chat and explore the different types and ways of grieving, alongside some lovely people in different jobs and positions who know grief well. Welcome to A Hopeful Guide to Grief. This week I'm talking to the lovely Rev Kathryn Fleming. Kathryn has created and helps out with so many amazing projects that help and support local people here in Coventry that have lost someone. I went to speak to her about religion and grief.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of A Hopeful Guide to Grief. And I'm here with our first guest, Rev Kathryn Fleming. Hello.
Hi, Louise.
Oh, so it's lovely to meet you.
Likewise.
But we're obviously both here because we've both had experiences with grief in the past, and you've done so much for grief and people dealing with grief. So I know the cathedral does a lot of aftercare for people that are mourning. So a lot of people like me, when I was grieving, you just think about the church as sort of like you go there for the funeral and then that's it. Yeah. Like you're on your own, off you go. Yep. So can you talk about a little bit sort of what you do with the cathedral?
I'd love to. I mean, in fact, I lost my parents when I was a little bit older than you. I was 18, and at that point, my reaction was very much as yours. That we went and we did the services, and I didn't really want to have anything to do with that particular church. Although I was quite religious then. I kind of went off the boil for a long time, but I was very involved in church music, so that was always a big thing. But it didn't occur to me that I might want to lean on the church. But what we would want to do is to say that unlike a civil celebrant, 6 months down the line, 6 years down the line, 60 years down the line, if you're struggling, that light of hope that we've been trying to hold for you is still here, and we're really willing and able to listen. But also somehow, I think sometimes rituals can be really important. So there are services that we have through the year that are particular commemorative services. So one that's been really very special and very important to us over the last few years is the service we have for Baby Loss Awareness Week. And often that's a hidden grief. And people expect when you've had another child that you've just set the lost babies aside.
Definitely.
And so having a space in which people are enabled to say, in a kind of contained and held way, this is a real loss, this does hurt. My baby may have only been, a 16-week pregnancy, but was still my baby with all those hopes and those dreams.
You've still got the connections to it.
Yeah, exactly. And so having a place to articulate that, and then to do something small, but something that feels significant, like lighting a candle or placing a pebble in some water or something like that, just that you can do, which kind of gives you a framework for your grieving. And I think giving that space for that, because every human life, every human soul matters. They matter to the world, and they matter, Christians would say, very deeply to God. So it's important to mark that they've been here,
No, definitely, because, I remember I was in Spain, I think it was, and my mum and dad unfortunately lost my older sister. She was a stillborn. They told me about her all the way through my childhood, and when we went to Spain, and there was a big candle. Is it like a candle stand at the front of the cathedral that I was in? And it was beautiful, and I couldn't grasp the concept. And so, my mum took me aside and she was like, let's light a candle for your sister. And so we lit a candle, and weirdly, that I feel like that sort of brought me closer to her. And, we've got sort of that sisterly connection, even though we never, ever met. And it was just that sort of bond that we had because we're a family.
Yes, and you were in that moment with your mum who'd loved and loved. Yes, her all that. Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, but I'm glad. It's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much for being my first guest on this podcast.
That's a pleasure.
Well, we hope to see more of you around the community, and keep doing what you're doing. It's brilliant.
You can follow and find Kathryn on Twitter at Coventry Canon, and find out more information about today's podcast on our website, ahopefulguidetogrief.squarespace.com. And remember, we're all different. Just give yourself some time. You're listening to A Hopeful Guide to Grief, with me, Louise Davenport. Grief is one big, unknown and unique thing. My mum died when I was 16, and I've been exploring my way through grief ever since. It's not easy to talk about death, so I've created this guide to chat and explore the different types and ways of grieving, alongside some lovely people in different jobs and positions who know grief well. Welcome to A Hopeful Guide to Grief. This week I'm talking to two of my oldest and closest friends, Harriet Bolivar and Victoria Dunn. They really helped me when I was first going through grief, and we had a talk about what it's like to be a friend supporting a friend when there's been a loss. Okay, so this is very strange. We are in my old childhood home with my two oldest and dearest friends that have supported me through a fair bit of my life. So we are filming in this room because, this is where I remember a lot of the time where I was grieving. This is where sort of the social hub of the house is, and where I remember you both sort of coming in to visit me. So how did you sort of come in and approach visiting me? Because I know that can be quite daunting for the first time, and sort of coming into this new environment where you don't know what is going to happen. You don't know if my dad's upset, if I'm upset. And obviously it's going to be strange for you both because, my mum's not here and you both knew my mum quite well. How do you sort of deal with that? What's the initial thought going, right, how are we going to go into this?
So I know that when I came to visit you, we stopped off, well, not stopped off, but we grabbed you a couple of gifts, flowers and chocolate. And we came here, we didn't stay too long, and Mum literally just went off shopping to Morrison's, I'll pick you up on the way back.
Yeah.
So it wasn't we weren't there to overstay our welcome or anything. It was just sort of, we'll pop over, keep you company for a little bit, just sort of make sure you're okay, and then we'll go. Just to sort of not overwhelm you.
One thing that I do really remember was you and Amy really sitting and listening to me. I ranted and raved. I was upset in front of you, and you really just sat there and sort of let it just wash and just sort of go.
To.
And obviously you helped share memories of my mum. And so afterwards, after the funeral, after everything, we're talking about sort of getting back to normal life. I know coming back to college was quite difficult for me because I tried it once, I think after about a week, and I couldn't do it.
You had to ease yourself
in. I went straight into the head of sixth form's office, and I just couldn't do it. So afterwards, how would you deal with someone maybe afterwards? Like, how was it with me? So did you sort of talk about it in groups? What did you do? Did you talk about it with parents?
No, I think we just sort of kept it between the groups. So, that when you came back, if you felt overwhelmed, you'd go into a separate room.
Yeah.
Quieten down, calm yourself down, and then we'd go in and check on you, make sure you were okay, sit with you, have a chat. Because I remember doing that in, the old, what was it? That old building by the pond.
Oh, yeah.
We sat in there, and I remember we had not a little group, we didn't want to overwhelm, but there was a few of us in there just trying to be there, knowing that you were surrounded by your friends, something which is comforting.
Yeah. What would you sort of suggest if other people were wanting to help their friends, not knowing what to do?
So all I would say is just be there for them, but don't be knocking on the door every day. Send them a text, say, I'm here for you if you want to chat or anything. Maybe give them a call every so often, but don't constantly be like, let's go and do something. Just sort of say, if you fancy it this week, we'll go out for lunch.
Yeah.
Or, how about the weekend we go out shopping somewhere? Just don't get too all up in their face, because it's not what they want right now. They'll want time with their family, and they'll want time by themselves. But it's nice to sort of be there in order to take them out of that situation and environment for a little bit.
Well, thank you both very much. It's been lovely talking to you because I've never heard this before. It's always been back of my mind, and, it's been 6 years, so it's not a topic that I bring up much. But thank you both so much. You can follow our podcast on Instagram at Hopeful Guide to Grief and find out more information about today's podcast on our website, ahopefulguidetogrief.squarespace.com. And remember, we're all different. Just give yourself some time. You're listening to A Hopeful Guide to Grief with me, Louise Davenport. Grief is one big, unknown and unique thing. My mum died when I was 16, and I've been exploring my way through grief ever since. It's not easy to talk about death, so I've created this guide to chat and explore the different types and ways of grieving, alongside some lovely people in different jobs and positions who know grief well. Welcome to A Hopeful Guide to Grief. This week I'm talking to the amazing Debbie Frost. Debbie's a counsellor at the wonderful Mighton Hospice here in Coventry. I went to speak to her about my experience with a counsellor and what to expect if you choose to go. So hello, Debbie.
Hello.
This is Debbie. She's a counsellor at Mighton, and I'm here to talk to her about, self-care and looking after yourself. So, what is counselling?
I think counselling it's a relationship, really. I think that's what makes counselling different to maybe talking to a friend. It's a professional relationship and it has boundaries. So when you go to meet your counsellor, it should be a place that feels safe and you'll go for the same amount of time every week. And the counsellor won't be sharing the things that you talk about because there'll be limits to confidentiality. So counselling really is a chance to go and get a space where you know that you're not going to be judged, where you can take your time to maybe talk through feelings and thoughts about any concerns that you might have. And it doesn't matter what they are, big, small. It's a chance to work through things that maybe are causing distress.
Yeah. No, I went through counselling at 16. But I had to get shoehorned into counselling because I would say I was very, very awkward, very sort of like, no, I don't want counselling. I don't want to be taken out of the classroom by one of the teaching assistants and be shoved into a room with someone that I don't know. Yeah. And I thought, okay, that isn't gonna help me at all. I went home to my dad and he was like, give it a go. Like, you don't know what's gonna come of it. Just try everything once, So I agreed to it, and I expected counselling to be like someone just going, oh, so how does that make you feel? And you see it in the films, and they sit there with the glasses on the end of their nose, and they go, yes. I was sat there like in this room with like no furniture, and just me at one side of the room, and her at the other side of the room, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a very new feeling, and I just sat there, and I was like, so why isn't she saying anything? I was just sort of like, am I just meant to sit here and just go, like, there's my feelings. But towards sort of when I got into it, I was like, oh, okay, it's all about sort of unpacking my feelings in front of myself. Yes. And then going, it's sort of like you're having a conversation and it's just having that someone there to listen. And I think it for me, definitely, it was so beneficial to me because I thought I needed conversation to go through it in my mind, but really all I needed was someone there to just listen to me and just reassure you that you're doing okay, like you're getting things in order in your own mind. And it's sort of like a better way of talking to yourself. That's sort of my way of dealing with things now. And I found it so helpful.
A lot of people have said to me, it's almost like holding a mirror up to yourself, really. Yeah. So you get the chance to be able to identify how you feel, figure it out almost, because nobody's rushing you. You take as much time as you need. And it's very much like you've said, you sort of, in working it out yourself and being able to say it out loud and have somebody reflect that back to you, not try and fix you, not give you a solution, not rush you along to something else. It's that process, that insight, that self-awareness, that's the power of counselling.
Definitely. No, so, well, thank you so much for speaking to me. I recommend counselling, even if you just go once. Try counselling. Thank you so much. Thank you. Lovely to meet you. You can find Mighton Hospice on Twitter and Instagram @MightonHospices. And find out more information about today's podcast on our website, ahopefulguidetogrief.squarespace.com. And remember, we're all different. Just give yourself some time.